high quality, more affordable 135mm f1.8. There isn't much to choose from, especially if you are shooting with Sony right now. This brand new Viltrox is competing with Sony G Master for the crown. This is a lens that is very good, very well priced, and one that possibly could be right for you. In this video, I'll talk about its performance. I'm gonna show you all the photos and video samples shot with it, talk about its value for money, who is it for, and what I love and dislike about it. Keep watching to find out more. Firstly, very quick disclaimer, this lens has been kindly sent to me by Viltrox to try and make this video about it, but as always, I was not asked or paid or been influenced in any way to say anything specific about it, so everything you see and hear in this video is my own and totally unbiased opinion about this lens. 135mm is a perfect focal length for portraits. 135mm lenses are known for being a portrait lenses. They can create really nice subject to background separation due to, in this case, the wide aperture and the zoom compression. Basically, 135mm can compress the perspective, making the background seem closer and more blurred than it really is. Great for portraits. This new Viltrox does not disappoint. Viltrox have recently released a few really outstanding lenses, but this is a new lineup called Lab. This is a first lens in this lineup, and it certainly is pro-grade lens that can deliver pro-grade results. The sharpness is just outstanding, even wide open. This is certainly top level performance. The autofocus works extremely well here too. It is fast, reliable, and super quiet. This is usually where cheaper lenses fail. This is on par with Sony G Master in my opinion, no doubt. What's really surprising and very unusual that there's virtually no chromatic aberration visible. Tiny bit around the edges, nothing in the center. Very unusual and very impressive. Flaring is superbly under control too. Viltrox have achieved this superb optical performance previously with their 60mm f1.9 lens. This is certainly as good as, if not better. Optically, this is really way above average overall. As you get superb subject to background separation, you also get really nice bokeh, creamy and really smooth. This is a lens that you literally could shoot wide open all the time and not miss out on anything. Here, closing the aperture only changes your depth of field. You don't have to close the aperture to get better results. 135mm is not limited to only portrait, of course not. Great for close-ups, architecture, street photography, or even close range sports. Minimum focusing distance here is 72 centimeters, not too bad at all, and closer you get to your subject, better subject to background separation you are going to see. Maybe it's not the most versatile lens ever, but if you bought one for doing portraits with it, you could easily adapt to use it in many other shooting scenarios, even though at first it feels like you are too close to everything you are photographing or filming with it. Talking about portrait, this is the same with all 135mm lenses. It feels normal, standard when shooting head and shoulders or even waist up. You are normal distance from your subject, but when you want to capture full body image, you will need a phone to communicate with your model. You need to step back quite a bit to be able to capture full body portraits. Also, it is the best focal length to get full body portrait and still have this shallow depth of field. If that's what you want, this can do it. In video, the autofocus performs very well. As expected, it works. There's no hunting, strange behaviors or pulsing, no focus breathing either. It works as good as any Sony lens would. Nothing to complain about really. Not the most versatile focal length for run and gun handheld shooting, especially that there's no built-in stabilization and the lens is pretty heavy, but could be ideal lens for filming interviews from the tripod, for example. Very impressive, not only optically but mechanically as well in this regard. The autofocus, I'm talking about autofocus. Build, a lot to talk about here. First, do the most obvious things. First, the size. This is a big lens. It weighs a whopping 1,269 grams. Significantly heavier than the Sony or Samyang lenses. That is unfortunate, and it could be a deal breaker for a lot of people. In honesty, I only found out how heavy it really is today while prepping for this video, and I've been using it for over a month now. I knew that it is heavy, you can't ignore the fact, but that didn't make it impossible or harder to use for me. It's not shooting with it, but adding it to the other kit and the overall weight of all your kit. If you use few lenses or cameras at the same time, the heavy weight of this lens could be a bigger problem overall than actually on its own. Second most obvious thing here is this display screen. Viltrox introduced it in their 16mm lens previously, but this is newer, more advanced version. It displays the focusing distance and the aperture ring value. What is quite unique that you can connect the lens via Bluetooth to the Viltrox Lens app. Through the app you can upgrade the firmware version of the lens, but also customize the screen. You can add text, graphic, like a logo or even a photo as a splash screen. Nice to massage your ego and see your name for a moment when you switch the camera on, but otherwise this has got no useful functionality. There are other functions that you can set, like the functionality of the function buttons. Theoretically, they both can be programmed independently to do different things. Unique lens screensaver, so it switches off the screen when you are not using it. Cool feature is the point A to point B focus pulse. Tamron have been doing this previously, and it is nice to see it here too. You basically set manually focus point A and focus point B, and with the press of a button, lens can change from one to the other automatically. Handy, especially when filming, as you can achieve consistent focus pulse. No speed of focusing via the app. You have to control that through the camera settings. One thing that is really missing here is the ability to switch the manual aperture ring control off. Right now you can only change the aperture via the ring, not via the camera. It is however very easy to turn it by accident while handling the lens, while shooting with it or just carrying it. I need to keep checking if I didn't nudge it a little every time I want to use the lens. Maybe they will be able to bring this functionality to the app in the future, so you can disable the ring or assign a different function to it, like ISO, and control the aperture via the usual front wheel of the camera. The aperture ring can also be declicked with a switch. Also worth mentioning, the aperture changes are smooth for when you want to change the aperture manually while filming to control the brightness. You also have focus limiter from minimum focusing distance to mid-range and mid-range to infinity. It helps with focusing within that range. You won't accidentally force lens to work too hard. Self-explanatory and pretty standard. Previously mentioned, 2 function buttons, also standard autofocus manual focus switch. The focus ring is very smooth, so is the aperture ring. There is weather sealing protecting the lens from splashes and dust, and the filter thread is 82mm. Price and value for money. This is what makes this lens really special. £829 here in UK or $899 in US. Very similar price to Samyang 135mm, but it is a better lens overall in my opinion. It is much cheaper than Sony GM, nearly half price. Really good value for money if you take superb optical performance into the consideration and ignore the hefty weight. A lens easily capable of professional results and the price tag that makes it more accessible to more people. If you look at 135mm from brands like Nikon and Canon, they are 3-4 times more expensive. And judging by previous releases from Viltrox, this should be hopefully available in Nikon Z mount sometime soon. And if that happens, it will literally have no competition in this price range for Nikon. Conclusion, this is superb portrait lens. It delivers outstanding optical performance, very sharp, almost zero chromatic aberration, no flaring, no focus breathing, very good and reliable autofocus. It offers optically everything anyone would want from a pro level lens. But it is big and heavy. This could be a deal breaker if you are a wedding photographer, or for example, or you need telephoto prime with you when traveling. Nearly 1.3 kilogram can add a lot of weight to your overall gear package. I personally don't have a problem with that. I carried it with me all day on a camera, on strap, and although I didn't forget that I have it, you can't, it's heavy, it was not that bad for me. The picture quality outshines the weight problem in my opinion. I wanted a good 135mm for a long time, and for little usage I needed for, I could not justify Sony GM price. Samyang is nice, but is missing that something special. It's not exciting enough. Sigma has only got the old HSM DSLR version, so this is the only option that ticks all the boxes when you need a high quality 135mm for portrait photography and more that is reasonably priced. I am very impressed with this lens, and regardless if you believe me or not, the results are speaking for themselves. I have included a few raw sample images for you to have a look if you want to. The link is below in the description. And if you like my photo editing style, you can get your photos to look like this as well. There's also a link to my Lightroom presets, which I have used on all photos taken with this lens in this video. This is it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.